Welcome back. There are a number of things that can make for an unforgettable film experience. Brilliant actors who put in a fine performance, a great story filled with tension, conflict and characters we're not sure whether to love or to hate. The work of a talented director together with fabulous cinematography. This film brings all of those key elements together. It is Sweet Smell of Success from 1957. The film was adapted from Ernest Lehman's novella, first published in Cosmopolitan magazine in 1950. The editors at the time refused to print a story with the word smell in the title. Censorship is not just dangerous, it is also quite ridiculous at times. Now, the title was changed to Tell Me About It Tomorrow, although it reverted to Lehman's original title when published in book form. The term Sweet Smell of Success eventually became widely used in everyday language, which pleased Lehman greatly. The production company Hecht Hill Lancaster purchased the film rights in 1955 and initially allowed Lehman to write the adaptation as well as to produce and to direct. They soon got cold feet and brought in Alexander McKendrick, who had made his start in film with Ealing Studios, making some gorgeous films that included Whiskey Galore, Mandy, The Lady Killers and The Man in the White Suit. In preparation, McKendrick was allowed to familiarise himself with New York City before shooting began. He took multiple photographs of the city from several fixed points and taped the pictures into a series of panoramas that he stuck on a wall and studied back in Hollywood. McKendrick had reservations about filming such a dialogue-heavy screenplay, so he worked with Lehman to make it more cinematic. As the script neared completion, Lehman became ill and withdrew from the project. Playwright Clifford Odets was hired for a quick script polish, but instead dismantled the structure of every single sequence in order to rebuild situations and relationships that were much more complex, with much greater tension and much more dramatic energy. This process took time and led to Odets continuing to write while filming began. Scenes were often rushed to the location just in time for shooting. Story is a real strength of this film. While some believe that the last-minute changes were a reason for the film's initial failure, I believe it is the reason for its long-term success. McKendrick found working on the film unsettling for a number of other reasons. The production company had a reputation for firing their directors for no reason and with little notice. Burt Lancaster could be an intimidating personality, but McKendrick instead used Burt's volatility to work for the character of JJ. He asked Burt to wear his own brown-lined glasses, which gave him the look of a scholarly brute. A thin layer of Vaseline was also smeared on the lenses, which prevented Lancaster from focusing his eyes and gave him this emotionless look, even at the times of his greatest cruelty. Shooting on location in New York City added to McKendrick's anxieties, with exteriors shot in some of the busiest and noisiest areas of the city, and with crowds of young Tony Curtis fans occasionally breaking through police barriers. The film includes characters who are memorable and pivotal, a key part of what makes this film really great. Central character J.J. Hunsaker is based on New York columnist Walter Winchell, who for decades had been the most famous and most reviled gossip columnist in America. The film beautifully portrays the power that newspaper columnists had at the time, and also shows how power corrupts those who wield it. In a real-life parallel, like Hunsaker, Winchell was obsessive about his daughter's love life. He had her institutionalized for being emotionally unstable, and with the help of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, had her lover forced to leave the country. A character who has even more screen time than Hunsaker is Sidney Falco, who clearly wants to be just like JJ, to live in the penthouse, to wear the expensive clothes, and to be fawned upon by the next generation of grovellers. What is disturbing is that neither Falco or Hunsaker has any real morals. They are both willing to break people and to throw them away, in their permanent pursuit of power and of influence. They are the way that they are because of each other. This is one of the rare films where you also remember the minor characters because they too are so important to the story. While they are effectively Hunsaker's and Falco's roadkill, they are memorable and sympathetic in their own right. Another great element of this film is its clever and distinctive dialogue. Rather than try to describe it and to not do it justice, here are a few of the greatest and sharpest lines from the film.
Match me, Sidney.
Why is it that everything you say sounds like a threat?
I know Manny Davis.
Everyone knows Manny Davis. Except Mrs. Manny Davis.
You sound happy, Sidney. Why should you be happy when I'm not?
I'd hate to take a bite out of you. You're a cookie full of arsenic.
Starting today, you can play marbles with his eyeballs. Cats in a bag and the bag's in a river.
I love this dirty town.
Frank Sinatra and Orson Welles were considered for the role of Hunsaker, but ultimately the best choice, Burt Lancaster, was cast. Tony Curtis was not initially considered for the role of Falco because Universal Pictures were worried it would ruin his career. Curtis pushed to be involved to prove his credentials as an actor, and because he was tired of doing pretty boy roles. The film is far better for his involvement. The entire film has been beautifully photographed by James Wong Howe and looks absolutely stunning. Shot during the winter, nighttime New York City looks as incredible in black and white as it ever has done on screen. Of special notice, the scenes featuring J.J. Hunsaker. They have been intentionally filmed from a low angle using a wide-angle lens and with overhead lighting so that J.J. looks menacing and so that his spectacle frames cast shadows across his face. The Chico Hamilton Quartet were chosen to play the jazz band in the film partly because they represented the West Coast and cool jazz styles popular at the time, but also because they were clean. Producers screened them for months to make sure that they weren't using drugs, to avoid giving Walter Winchell anything that he could use against the film. The soundtrack combines orchestral music by Elmer Bernstein with the modern jazz of the Chico Hamilton Quintet, including numbers performed in the film's club scenes. Both provide a moody backdrop with music that is hard-edged and gritty, easily associated with big city life in the 1950s. A preview screening of Sweet Smell of Success was poorly received. Tony Curtis fans didn't like seeing him portraying such a nasty character, and Burt Lancaster's fans felt much the same. The film was a box office failure, and Hecht blamed his producing partner Hill. Lancaster blamed Lehman for deserting the film at a late stage, but he did feel that McKendrick had done a fantastic job, and that Curtis should have won an Oscar for his role as Falco. Walter Winchell was reportedly delighted that the film had bombed at the box office. Critical reaction was much more favourable. Time magazine and the New York Herald included the film on their list of the 10 best films of 1957. Its reputation has improved over time though, with New York magazine many years later calling it the most accurate and the best of all New York movies that captured better than any other film the atmosphere of Times Square and big city journalism. The film was named amongst Entertainment Weekly's list of 100 greatest movies of all time. It's been preserved in the Library of Congress. It is included on Roger Ebert's greatest movies list. Martin Scorsese said that this is one of the best films ever made. It is included amongst the 1001 movies you must see before you die, and it is Tony Curtis's favourite of all the films that he actually appeared in. The American Film Institute named J.J. Hunsaker amongst the top movie villains of all time. So lots of great reasons to watch this particular film. Curtis and Lancaster, amazing performances that are both convincing and very, very chilling. It's a really interesting story, well told. It's genre defying, so it feels in many ways like a film noir. Lots of that really sort of kind of sharp, catchy, witty dialogue. The atmospherics of struggles in a big city, but what it lacks is a femme fatale. And I guess the reason it does that is it doesn't need a woman in this particular film because the men are so good at destroying themselves and destroying each other. It's a storyline which is quite confronting, but at the same time really beautifully portrays, I guess, the power struggles within newspapers and newspaper columnists during the 1950s. It's also got a wonderful atmospheric score and beautiful cinematography. So New York City looks great. You really sort of kind of feel drawn into sort of kind of many of the locations and the scenes of this particular film as well. But certainly be warned that you may be disturbed by this particular film. It's not easy watching, but it's really, really worth your time. So what I'd suggest you do is go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, click on it and watch it. I think you'll really enjoy it. You may not enjoy it, but you'll certainly feel it's a worthwhile experience. Whatever you feel about the particular film, we'd love you to come back, let us know what you think, share with others your thoughts about this particular film, and then we'll see you back in the not too distant future for another Classic Films review. See you next time.